fighting robot, Mega Man.
Mega Man is a legendary character among gamers. Ever since his first game on the NES in 1987, Mega Man has been one of the biggest icons in gaming. From 10 games in the main series, to a dizzying amount of spin-off games, including games that play mostly the same, but with a twist, RPGs, a foray into the realm of 3D, fighting games, and even racing and sports games, Mega Man has covered almost every genre and left a huge impact on gaming. He has also had an anime in Japan, a full TV series in America, and then more shows based off the spin-off games. Not to mention plenty of merchandise. While times recently have been rough on the Blue Bomber, we will get to see him again in all his classic glory in the new Super Smash Bros. This year. And of course, the original creator of the game, Kenji Inafune, is making a spiritual successor with his new studio concept, Mighty No. 9, which was kickstarted earlier this year. When we get the next proper new Mega Man remains to be seen, but we aren't here to dwell on the future or the status of Mega Man as a whole. We have to look at this from a more Sega angle, one that takes us back to 1994. You see, up until this time, Mega Man was strictly a Nintendo franchise, and one of its most popular outside of their own IPs. The franchise was strictly exclusive to their consoles from Mega Man 1 through 6, as well as the spin-off series Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo. That changed in 1994 when, due to sales of Street Fighter II Championship Edition on the Sega console, Capcom decided it was time to bring the Blue Bomber out of his Nintendo shell and over to the good old Blast processor. However, while the game came out without a hitch in Japan in October of 1994, and it also eventually came out in physical form in Europe in April of 1995, the US version was delayed indefinitely for, according to an issue of Game Players magazine from Capcom, graphical problems. However, the game did eventually come stateside, through Sega's way ahead of its time peripheral/subscription service, the Sega Channel. The Sega Channel was very similar to current streaming services like OnLive and PlayStation Now, in which you would stream games from a server to your console. However, I plan to do something far more in-depth about that, so just know it's quite possible that Sega convinced Capcom to let that be a big exclusive to get people to sign up for their service, as they had other games that were also exclusive to it. So, hearing there was going to be a Mega Man game playable on Sega Genesis was huge for me as a kid. When it finally popped up on Sega Channel, I couldn't wait to see what was waiting for us. What I got was something very interesting, something quite different from what I actually expected. So, without further ado, let's check out what Mega Man the Wily Wars was all about. The first thing about Mega Man the Wily Wars that you'll immediately notice is that this isn't actually a new game. This is actually a remake/re-release of the first 3 Mega Mans. But hey, it's the first 3 Mega Man games in one cartridge with updated graphics and sound effects. As a Sega fan, it was a dream come true. Seeing the intro of Mega Man 2 for the first time on my Genesis was incredible as a kid. As someone who always been envious of his Nintendo friends, I finally got to play the masterpieces they always bragged about. At first glance, it looks exactly like what you'd want. The first 3 games in glorious 16-bit. Now, these games are still the classic Mega Man games that you love. You go through a level that you select, and you kill the enemies and dodge through a multitude of different obstacles as you make your way to the Master Robot's lair to fight him one-on-one. These Robot Masters were created by the evil Dr. Wily to help him control the world, and you'll need to beat all of them in order to reach Dr. Wily's castle and to get a chance to defeat him. Every boss you defeat gives Mega Man a new ability he can use throughout the rest of the game, and every one of the bosses has a weakness to a certain weapon, which you will want to learn and exploit, as you're going to need every advantage you can get, because these games are tough as nails. However, the promise of Wily Wars soon comes down a bit, as you find this isn't exactly how I remember Mega Man playing if you've played it before. You see, once you actually boot up the initial game and get into one of the stages, you'll see that things feel immediately kinda off. It's due to some stiff controls. For starters, Mega Man just doesn't move as well, and isn't as responsive as he is in the NES version. There seems to be a very slight delay in moving and jumping, which may not seem like a big deal, but for a game like Mega Man that requires precise, quick jumping at certain points, it can lead to a lot of deaths in certain parts of the game until you get used to the timing. Also, the rate at which your Mega Buster fires is slower than what Mega Man is capable of in the NES version. This is slightly due to some weird graphical problems and actually blends back to the reason why they were delaying it indefinitely. But again, this isn't that big of a deal when you get used to it, but you'll be taking longer to kill a lot of bosses initially, and since you won't be getting in as many hits per pattern cycle, it's gonna make the game a little bit more tough, which, of course, if you played a Mega Man game before, you know you don't need that. The biggest issue is the music, though. Now, I'm a stark defender of the Sega Genesis sound chip, so, you know, when I make a claim about this, it's not out of the bias of saying, oh, the NES and Super Nintendo were so much better sounding. But genuinely, if you compare the Genesis music with that of the originals, you can feel some of the energy and speed is just gone. Well, the songs sound good by Genesis standards. You have something to compare them to, and the NES, even being a generation older, just match the game better, and the mixes just sound better in that version. Again, that isn't to say that they're bad, they're certainly better than a lot of the things that came out of the Genesis at certain points, and they work during the game, but just like the graphics, the music should have been 2 times better here as well. One thing the Genesis versions do have in common with their NES brethren is the crushing difficulty. What doesn't help here for some people is there isn't a password system. Instead, the game has the ability to save to a battery in the cartridge. So for Mega Man 1, this is great as that game didn't have a password system to begin with, so now you just have the ability to shut the console off. Mega Man 2 and 3 did, however, have a password system, and now there is no way to skip right to Dr. Wily's castle or anything else, which it means you gotta work for it, which is, you know, why you should be playing the game to begin with, but it does kind of suck for somebody who, like me, maybe just wants to film Dr. Wily's castle. Even with some wonky controls and music that doesn't quite live up to the 8-bit versions, it was still a chance to play the first 3 Mega Man games that we were always so jealous of our Nintendo friends having, even if you needed Sega Channel to play it in the US. Of course, that was already kinda cool on its own, but Mega Man The Wily Wars does have its saving grace, the exclusive Wily's Tower. If you manage to finally beat all 3 Mega Mans, you'll unlock a final section called Wily's Tower, an exclusive set of levels made just for the Wily Warrior game. In this mode, there are 3 new stages waiting for you, with 3 new bosses, based on the famous Chinese epic novel Journey to the West: Buster Rod G, Mega Water S, and Hyperstorm H. In this mode, you get to pick 8 different sub-weapons and 3 different items from all 3 of the previously played Mega Man games, which is a pretty cool idea, but it can also be a little bit frustrating at times if you find out you left something really useful behind when you could really use it, but you can always pick it for the next run. While most of the levels in the game are pretty forgettable, be it the 3 main stages or the castle, the boss fights are great, with a nice amount of variety in each of the different encounters you have. More to the point of the bosses, this might be one of the few, if not only Wily castles to not have a boss rush mode in it. There are also some solid original compositions done for this game by Kinuyo Yamashita, the composer of the original Castlevania game. While they're not the best Mega Man compositions, they're very solid, and they're more written in tune to how the Genesis works. They sound a little bit more in sync with the Genesis sound chip. This part is easily the highlight of the cart, and it's the reason most Mega Man fans should definitely try to track down a copy. Mega Man The Wily Wars certainly does have a lot of good things going for it. The save feature was great, allowing you to pick up the game whenever you wanted to, and you didn't have to write down any pesky passwords. The Wily's Tower that was in the game at the end was exclusive to us, so we got to brag about it. Not to mention, it was pretty fun. And on top of that, it was still Mega Man 1 through 3, ported all into one cartridge with 16-bit graphics. Even so, the music and the controls somehow got lost in translation, and being that it was a port from 8-bit to 16-bit, that really shouldn't have happened. Everything should have been better in this version. So, while it's great for Sega collectors and Mega Man fans just for the new content to have all those games in 16-bit, it's not the amazing perfect collection that it really should have been coming from 8-bit to 16-bit. Be that as it may, it's still a fun game. Not only did the game launch Sega Channel into all of our Sega hearts, but it's still just damn fun to play, flaws and all. So, I still like Mega Man The Wily Wars, even with its flaws. And so, until next time, just remember to save that energy tank until the very last second. I'll see you later. Hey, hope you guys dug the review of Mega Man The Wily Wars. I just want to give a couple quick thanks. First, I want to thank all the bands that let me use some of their music. They all did Mega Man covers, and they're all video game bands you guys should check out. There's DJ Cutman, there's also Bit Brigade, also Mega Driver, and finally Mega Ran, aka Random. They're all really cool guys, and they all have really great music, so you should definitely go check it out, maybe even get some of their music. Secondly, if you have any interest in subscribing and watching more of these Sega videos, right down here, you can do it. My hand is hopefully very close to where the subscribe button will be. And finally, hopefully I'll have a lot of new kind of videos doing for you. I'm working on a new Sega Importorium, I'm working on a new video that's different from all the other ones, and more streams and stuff. If you ever want to check those out, I'll put this right above here. There'll be a link to my Twitch, where I stream Sega games weekly. All kinds of Sega goodness for you guys. So, thanks for watching. Learned that from Game Pro, but it's a shame though. Nowadays video games ain't the